Paul Coughlin's Dream Championship debut continued on the second day of the LV County Championship clash between Durham and Lancashire at the Emirates Durham International Cricket Ground. Not only did he complete a record-breaking partnership for his county, but he also impressed with the ball as the visitors let a strong position slip from their grasp. First up, Coughlin and Phil Mustard scored the 2 runs they needed to ensure that their 9th wicket partnership was the best ever for the county. It was ended on 150 when Coughlin was bowled by Tom Smith for a magnificent 85. Mustard soon followed for 70 as he swung at a ball from Kyle Hogg and nicked behind as the bowler ended with figures of 6 for 70. A fine effort. From 184 for 8 at one point, Durham will have been delighted to have made it to a total of 338 thanks to Coughlin's extraordinary debut innings. That had meant that Paul Horton and Alex Davis needed to get their side off to a solid start in reply. They began with a stand of 30 in 8 overs. Bowling as straight as ever, Chris Rushworth broke through by trapping Horton in front for 9. It was to be the home side's only success before lunch as Davis again showed how well his game is progressing at the top of the order. Initially employed as a replacement gloveman when Joss Butler is on England duty, Davis has been given his chance at the top of the order and he's done a good job for his team so far. He bedded in well here with some excellent cricket shots. He was finally undone by Ben Stokes, Davis driving him a little loosely to Michael Richardson after making 46 out of a score of 90 for 2. Much of the rest of the afternoon belonged to Lancashire, a team who've been looking for someone to provide the runs that Simon Katic got for them in last season's promotion campaign. They may have found that man in Usman Khawaja, the left-handed Australian who's represented his country in 9 Test matches and 3 ODIs. The 27-year-old had sought the advice of his mentor Katic before arriving in Manchester after having spells in 2011 and 2012 at Derbyshire. He mostly tucked into the bowling of Stokes, whose first 11 overs cost 75 runs, and he did it with aplomb. Khawaja eased to a debut 50 for his team with a single off John Hastings, which took the Pakistan-born batsman to his mark of 80 deliveries, an innings containing 8 fours. It was a knock which would have had his new colleagues purring with delight in the dressing room. With Ashwell Prince sticking it out with him at the other end, Lancashire started to get themselves into position A. Scott Borthwick was also expensive as these 2 international players looked to play positively as their partnership developed. Khawaja was by now making batting look a very easy thing to do. That partnership with Prince moved into 3 figures and all that was left for now was for this pair to bat out the session to put their side on top at tea. They weren't able to do that, however, with Khawaja's excellent knock coming to an end shortly before the Cakes. On 86 he gave who else but Coughlin his maiden championship wicket, Richardson with a catch in the gully. Coughlin had had to wait until his 9th over for his first success, but his next came along in his 11th as he had Stephen Croft caught by Paul Collingwood at first slip. Then the dream debut got even better as he grabbed a 3rd wicket in the space of 24 deliveries by having Prince taken behind on 49. For the second time in 24 hours, the 21-year-old had changed the course of this match and he now stepped aside to see Stokes and Hastings take over. Smith nicked a drive off the England man to Mustard before the collapse continued as Glenn Chappell was bowled by Hastings. From 205 for 2 just before tea, Lancashire found themselves on 243 for 8 when Butler, who'd spent 73 minutes at the crease over his 8 runs, edged a good one from Stokes behind. Next over, Hogg top-edged a shot off Hastings to who else but Coughlin, who was never going to drop it. And the innings was completed as Simon Kerrigan holed out off Hastings. Thanks to Coughlin's intervention, he finished with figures of 3 for 42. Lancashire had lost their last 8 wickets for 61 runs in 29 overs. They were all out for 266 to give Durham a lead on first innings of 72 runs. Lancashire's misery was compounded when they missed an excellent chance to run out Keaton Jennings in the 4 overs the home side were left with. From those, Jennings and Mark Stoneman added 16 runs to their side's lead, and that means they'll go into the second half of this important match with an advantage of 88 runs. We'll wait to see what Cochrane will produce next.